Good afternoon. Welcome to the show. It's Tuesday, May 25th, 2010. I'm a little bit under the weather, so pardon me. Welcome to the show, which is called A Crohn's Disease Life. We change the name from time to time, but today's show is called Clarifying the Confusion Between IBD, IBD, IBS, Crohn's disease, and colitis, because the last video I did apparently elicited a lot of passionate opinions from people, and I really appreciate, whether I agree with them or not, I appreciate them, and they did point out some mistakes I made, and I'd like to clarify them and then to make my point again. Okay, so here's take two. And I've actually asked a gastroenterologist to help me with this because I was curious from his perspective, and he's a world-renowned doctor, how he handles it. Okay, Inflammatory Bowel Disease, IBD, which is what World IBD was, is basically an umbrella term for Crohn's and colitis. And the key phrase is inflammatory. It causes inflammation well, it could be anywhere, but primarily in the digestive tract. Inflammation, ulcers, etc. Irritable Bowel Syndrome is much less serious, and as my doctor states, it is a quote, disorder of function, close quote. Sort of like a spastic colon, bad stomach, things like that. Now, so that's the reality. So I made a mistake. I think I used the word irritable when I should have said inflammatory. But my main point hasn't changed. I don't understand why IBD and World IBD, inflammatory, is the leading word in that phrase, which is the umbrella term for two illnesses that when you suffer from them, you know that they could ruin your quality of life. They could ruin your life medically, financially, emotionally. And to lead with the word inflammatory when, I mean, a lot of my friends would think of inflammatory as a strained ligament, you know, by a weekend warrior, or inflammation from tennis elbow. But Crohn's disease, sometimes when, and I have to explain this to them so many times, when the bowels get inflamed, the passageway gets narrow. So it's like trying to pass a baseball through a garden hose. And if there's kinks in it, it makes it even more painful. And they sort of understand it. But I don't understand why we have to go through so many phases to get to the point of, hey, this is what Crohn's disease is, this is what ulcerative colitis is. You know, I got a quote from someone, and again, I do sincerely appreciate the quotes, that I am out of the mainstream on this, that I guess the powers that be have chosen inflammatory bowel disease as the way to couch these diseases to raise money. Well, I think they made a mistake, and I could prove it, because if you went outside and polled people and said, do you know what Crohn's disease is? Do you know what ulcerative colitis is? Do you know what IBD is or IBS? They would be so confused, and almost all of them wouldn't know what Crohn's or colitis is, or how severe it is, or how lifestyle altering it is. So I don't think that approach, while well intended, has been a success. And also, the goal of these branded approaches, and again, World IBD Day is quite an undertaking, and again, I sincerely applaud the efforts. I think it was 27 countries on 4 continents. The goal is to tell people what these illnesses are, so they donate money and people are more understanding of it. You know, when someone hears you have cancer or have to go through chemo, whether they're your employer or your coworker, they know what that means. They know what kind of slack to give you. But if you call up your boss and say, "Yeah, I'm having a Crohn's flare-up," they get, what does that mean? What, are you going to be hugging the toilet bowl all day? I mean, sometimes it has nothing to do with the bathroom. Sometimes it's just tremendous joint pain. Sometimes it's fever. I just don't get it. It's as if someone somewhere made the decision that these two illnesses are not severe enough to stand on their own. And I could tell you, as someone who's had Crohn's disease for 25 years, My illness could stand on its own in terms of the damage it could do to your life. And I know people with ulcerative colitis, you know, when they tell you at 19 we're taking out your colon and you're a beautiful girl, besides the regular issues, there's a lot of issues that go with that. It's very difficult to deal with, and that kind of stuff really pains me. And to think that ulcerative colitis has to fall under some umbrella term, and then it becomes some innocuous umbrella term at that, inflammatory, we need to change it. You know, so my whole opinion is change it. We need to brand it as two illnesses. That's my whole point. Very simple. I don't know why people went crazy on me. I think what everyone does is great. It just needs to be changed. Once in a while, things have to change. Well, people always make fun of me for branding my book, but I think I have credibility because I wrote a book. I was on the Today Show with the book. It's called Confessions of a Professional Hospital Patient, and it chronicles basically my 25 years of having Crohn's disease, over 100 hospitalizations, about 15 major surgeries, and how I got through it with the support of my friends and family, and really questioning authority, you know, questioning doctors, listening to my body. I guess which is what I'm doing here, in that I'm questioning what is the mainstream, because it's not working. People need to know about the illness. I don't want to feel like a leper anymore. By the way, you could purchase the book at Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, even on my site, hospitalpatient.com. It'll link you right to Amazon, and there's actually a sample chapter on there about the emergency room. And even if you don't purchase the book, I think you'll get a kick out of the chapter. So, you know, in closing, I've always been a big proponent of listening to your body, listening to your gut, and challenging authority. Not for the sake of challenging authority, but people aren't always right, and in this particular case, I think the approach that's been taken to raise awareness for Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis under this umbrella catch-all of IBD is wrong. It needs to change. I appreciate the efforts, but it needs to change. So keep the comments coming. Michael Weiss at hospitalpatient.com, or on Twitter, at hospitalpatient. Or on this YouTube channel. Just leave a comment, and please, I'm very candid. I have thick skin. Say whatever you want. I certainly say whatever I want. It's not personal. I think hopefully I've created a nice forum here where we could learn from each other, and if there are issues you'd like me to address in future shows, I certainly will. Okay, so I hope I clarified some things and made my point. You don't have to agree with me, but it's something to think about. Okay, thank you.